Hello and welcome, Soul Tribe, my family. Thank you so much for tuning in to Peace in a Pod. I'm Loretta, and for those that are returning listeners, thank you so much for returning and joining us today. And for any new listeners, welcome and thank you for being here. Hey, Soul Tribe, welcome back to Peace in a Pod. So lately I've been focusing on balancing my chakras, specifically my heart chakra, and just kind of opening it up a little bit so I can feel a little more balanced and grounded from the love, the heart perspective. So I'm going to share a little bit about my personal life, a little more about my personal life. And most of you, because you don't know me personally and as a close friend, don't know that I lived in Puerto Rico for 8.5 years prior to me moving to where I am now. And I had a wonderful time there. It was great. I did eventually move because of my military job and me wanting career progression and just seeking more in my career. And I wanted to be a little closer to my family. So when I first moved to Puerto Rico, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know a single soul on that island. And it was scary. I think I was in my mid-20s. I was probably like 23, 24. But I didn't know anyone there. It was a little scary. But I was more curious of how things were there. I'm a very curious-minded individual, and I get very intrigued by other cultures, languages, food, places, and I just wanted to go and see. So I at that time I was in another relationship. And I'll go into a little more detail about that pretty soon. And I moved there initially because that person had gotten the job there. So I was like, okay, I'll transfer from the Houston Air Guard to the Puerto Rican Air Guard. And I did. So I ended up getting there first, and I didn't know my landlord, because everyone that I had spoken to were all via email at the time. A little phone, but not, I've never seen what they look like. So when I got there, my landlord knew that I didn't have any furniture with me. So because I didn't have any furniture, and the apartment, which was extremely small, it was like so small that I had to step outside to like clear my mind. That like it was a tiny place. It was cute. I loved it though. I had some fun at that apartment. But it was just super small, but it was unfurnished. All I had was an air mattress in one suitcase with my military uniforms and a couple shorts, dresses, and tank tops, beach stuff. So I didn't have a lot with me, but I planned on buying furniture and stuff when I got there. So anyways, when I finally arrived, and this was December 2006, I want to say. So I had showed up during the festive times, and I once again, I didn't know the culture back then. So I get there, and my landlord was like, well, you don't have any furniture. There's no bed down there, because the apartment it was like a 3-level house, but the apartment was on the bottom level. And she was like, since you don't have any furniture, why don't you stay in my daughter's room up here with me? And that way you're not spending the holidays by yourself, And once you get a bed and some furniture, then move downstairs. But I didn't know her. So I was a little hesitant, but then I'm like, well, she's right. I am here by myself. I don't know anyone. It would be kind of sad to spend Christmas by myself. I was excited to be there, but then like hearing someone say, "Oh, you're going to spend the holidays alone," it was just like, yeah, she's right. So I agreed to stay in her daughter's room, and her daughter was a flight attendant for one of the airlines, so she was almost never there. So I ended up spending the holidays with her, and on the island, once Thanksgiving starts, you're pretty much in holiday season all the way until mid-January, because not only do they celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas, they celebrate Three Kings. And that is January 6th. So imagine how long all the festivities, the partying and eating and hanging out is going on during that time frame, which I didn't know. So I did get my transfer and all of that completed, and did my enlistment when I got to the island, but I just didn't know that things would not like really, nothing was going to happen. So there was some days, some annual training days that I needed to make up, and I couldn't do any of that stuff because all of the holidays were happening. So anyways, I was staying with my landlord from mid-December all the way till mid-January. And during that time frame, you know, she was like a mom to me. She was super friendly. She taught me a lot of recipes and showed me how to make the dishes, allowed me to help her make the dishes, and gave me some like tips on cooking. Because at that time I wasn't really like cooking. I was still like learning how to cook. So I learned a lot staying with her, but I just felt like a little overwhelmed by the hospitality from her, because that woman did not know me, but yet opened her doors for me. And it was just like a beautiful feeling. And you know, they say Southern hospitality is it, but I'm from Texas, and I have never in my entire life living in Texas felt that kind of hospitality. I'm gonna be honest with you. Never felt that kind of hospitality. So anyways, eventually I do go ahead and tell her like, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and go downstairs, after a couple months. And, I went ahead and went downstairs, but she knew I didn't have a TV. She had cable already like included with the apartment, but she knew I didn't have a TV. So she brought her daughter's TV down so that I could at least watch TV while I was there. But just super generous, kind, and warm-hearted individual. And I would never forget that. That was like my first experience on the island, and it actually let me feel that everything was going to be okay while I was there. So anyways, fast forward, and eventually the person that I was with makes it to the island, and we had a bad falling out, like bad. And he's not Puerto Rican, but we had a bad falling out. The relationship ended. It was pretty traumatic. I was working on the air base at the time, and we had like a very long training that was going on that was crossing over through the weekend. And I ended up not being able to finish the training because of the situation that happened. And I talked to some supervisors and eventually, got an understanding of me not attending for a while. So eventually I get all that cleared up, and I returned back to work. And keep in mind, I'm new to the unit, so I don't know anyone there. I'm not really sure how they would behave toward me because I'm an outsider. But I went in open-minded. I took the chance to go to another place that I've never been before, that where I knew I didn't know anyone, and I wanted to know more people. I wanted to expand my circle. So I was very open to meeting all these new people and seeing who could be a potential friend or not. So anyways, I was a little quiet because I'm a very observant person. So while I was there at work, I was just more kind of quiet, just, they tell me to work on something or do this, do that. I would just take care of it, and I would just be pretty much in my little cubicle area. But I was very quiet because I like to kind of get a feel and see how people are before I just start like trying to be all friendly, because, not everybody you could trust. So anyways, there was two younger females, a few years younger than me, that started being friendly. So I became friends with them, and I wasn't really going out or doing anything because I didn't know where to go and what to do. But I was a little quiet because of after the incident that had happened, I didn't know like if the person that I had spoke to like shared all of that with everybody, and I didn't know like what they were thinking. So I was a little standoffish when I did return back to work. And then my now bestie, Vicky, love you, girl. She was the first person to reach out to me after that happened. And she basically was just like, hey, I know you don't like know anybody here. You probably don't have like a lot of friends yet. But if you're wanting to like take your mind off of everything and, go get a drink or something, we could go hang out. And I'm like, all right. And the crazy thing is, she never asked me about what happened. She just pretty much was like, hey, you're here alone. You need a friend, and I'm going to be there for you. So we ended up hanging out, me, her, and the other lady. And that's how the friendship really started developing between Vicky and I. And eventually, I did tell her what happened, not that night, but sometime down the line, I did like go into detail and tell her everything that happened and how like everything was kind of drawn out, and I, still had some things to work out and whatever. But I saw her different from most of the people that I experienced, because most people, when you go through something, most people just want to know what you went through. They don't really care about you and how you feel and what's going on with you. It's more of like the gossip, the drama, like the juicy details. No one, like, it's very rare that you find people who actually care about you and how you're pulling through in certain situations. So to have someone that had no idea who I was, didn't know anything about my background or anything, just, make herself available so that I don't feel lonely on the island. And I will never forget that moment when she invited me out. I get a little emotional about when I talk about that, because it touches my heart. There are not a lot of good people that would do something like that. But my time in Puerto Rico has been just an amazing experience. And this was all within the first 6 months or so of me moving there, that I'm already experiencing this kind of love and kindness and hospitality from individuals. And I was just blown away of how caring people are there. And I did eventually start making some more friends as I was starting to learn people and starting to learn a little bit more about the language and the culture and places to frequent. Once I started getting out a little bit more and exploring the different areas on base, to know the different sections, groups, and personnel. That's when I was able to build even more friendships. And it wasn't all just on base. On base, I had a few different roles that I worked in. So of course I met people in each of those squadrons. But it was, I don't know, the bonds that I built with the people that I know on that island is, I don't know if there's even enough words to describe the friendship, the level of love and kindness that's there. Now, I will say this. They are not kind driving. There is a bit of aggression, but if they see you and know you, they'll let you in. They'll let you over. But other than that, besides the driving side of things, I think there are beautiful people there, inside and out, that are absolutely the most kind, generous, and loving folks that I've ever experienced. And the level of hospitality is just really hard to put into words, because it almost takes your breath away of how generous and kind those individuals are. So I've made a lot of long-lasting friendships. I truly consider Puerto Rico to be family and home. I loved living there, and if it wasn't for my job and me wanting to progress and learn more, do more, see more, I would not have left. And I did want to get closer to my family, because it did cost quite a bit to fly in and out several times a year to go spend time with my family. So I wanted to just kind of cut costs and find a better position somewhere. I just kind of felt like I outgrew my positions, and there was nowhere else for me to level up. And that was the reason I left. And it was hard leaving there, because I love that place. I love the people. I love the food, the culture. I love the beaches. I love everything about the island. And I am sad that I'm not there anymore. But I know that I had to move on, because that's just part of the journey. But I just wanted to share that if you have not experienced Puerto Rico, you are truly, truly missing out on an amazing opportunity to meet some of the most loving, caring, kind, and no one can compare hospitality individuals that I've ever experienced in my entire life. They're very accepting of anyone who comes to visit, and they make you feel like you're home. They make you feel like your family, and it is just a beautiful, beautiful feeling when you experience that. And I honestly, I have not been anywhere else that has given me that type of feeling. But yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit about me and about love and the feeling of feeling loved and expressing love. And I feel like Puerto Rico, they're number one. Go check out the island, experience the beautiful people, beautiful beaches, beautiful culture. Thanks to everyone on the island who made me feel like family, and I will always consider Puerto Rico home. Thanks again for tuning in to Peace in a Pod, and I will catch you next time. Bye. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Peace in a Pod. Please do comment, like, follow, share, rate, subscribe, all of those things. And I will catch you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.